Thank you very much to be here. What would you say to a young person that want to approach today the sailing and the navigation? And sailing is a sport that relax, that keep you in the nature, but maybe it can be also racing. And racing today, I think, is very different than racing 50 years ago. So what would you suggest to a young person that approach today? How to start? Sailing around the world, sailing for leisure, start racing younger?
I think I'd say to any young person, first of all, start, because sailing is the most marvellous sport. You can decide then which part of the sport you want. Do you want to go cruising? Do you want to sail dinghies? Do you want to go racing? There's so many aspects of sailing for you to choose from. But I think to start with, you must learn to sail a boat a bit and then decide, okay, this is what interests me.
When you brought Swahili from India to England, you were not alone. The first time it was a sailing for leisure, for pleasure. And when you decided that it was time to race?
I mean, we're all competitive, you know, and I was a very competitive young man. And the moment you enter a race, you say, why do I want to race? Only to win. All of us have well, not everyone, but most people have an instinct in them. You know, you get two boats together, they will start to compete. It's human nature. But I also like racing. And if we're racing, well, I want to beat you. It's as simple as that.
You made twice around the world sailing alone, one in 1968 and one later, when you was 68, I think, 68. And probably in times very different, with both very different. How it changed in the emotion, and which one do you prefer? If you prefer, perhaps you change as well. Your mind and your emotions change as well.
In 68, it was a bigger challenge because most people didn't believe it was possible. My radio broke very early on. I had no news. But off New Zealand, I got news where the other people were, and I knew I was in the lead. In 06, 07, we're now with a very sophisticated carbon fibre, 60-foot, out-and-out racing boat. It's much faster. It's got bigger sails. It's much faster. It's probably better, stronger. Everyone else has boats like this now. So now it's a question of who can sail them fastest. In 68, we all had different boats. Suddenly, we're all in 60-footers, out-and-out racing boats. Well, it's not quite the same challenge. Now, that's a nice challenge. But it's a different challenge.
The idea to communicate home that you are well, that everything goes well, is different.
Because you have tracking now, satellite tracking. So even if your radio broke, they still know where you are.
Exactly, yes.
So it's made it, I think, better for families. In 68, you know, when I was 4.5 months with no news, people were worrying. I tell young people, you know, if you have a thing in your mind, follow it. Believe in yourself. You may not succeed. You'll learn from the error.
Exactly.
You'll learn from the fact you didn't succeed. And next time you'll be better.
It's experience in any case.
Exactly. That failure is not a failure. The fact you didn't succeed isn't failure. Look what you've learned. You'll be better next time.
For I really loved very much your experience with Intensa and Sir Peter Blake. What do you think about the climate changes and in your experience of sailing even in North waters? And what do you think for the future?
Well, first let me tell you, I met Peter Blake in 1971. He sailed with me in a race, Cape Town to Rio. We did the Whitbread together, then we did Enter. So he was a very good friend of mine. And after he'd won the America's Cup, he decided to go and do something else. And he got really focused on climate. And he wanted to show how the climate was changing, which I thought was a very good idea, strongly supported it. Why are we suddenly getting more storms? We're not getting more hurricanes, they're just worse. They're stronger.
Yes.
Why is the ice disappearing, the north and south of the planet? Why last year did we have droughts all over Europe? And this winter we get floods. It never used to be this extreme. Well, one way of telling what's going on is look at the seawater temperature. It's going up. It hasn't gone up very much. It doesn't have to. It's gone up just a bit, about 0.5 degrees Celsius. But that's enough to upset the weather. Because the seawater being warmer makes the air rise more.
Of course.
And this is upsetting our weather. So if we don't stop this rise in temperature, then we've got to accept all our weather is going to change dramatically. So I strongly support Richard Attenborough and other people saying, now, we've got to act now. But if, supposing we don't do anything, what's going to happen to the world? And I go to Greenland every few years. I mean, I've been there 6 times in the last 30 years. I've seen the ice moving.
Yes.
no longer is so far south. Places I couldn't go to in a boat before, I can get to now.
Yes.
The ice is no longer there. I ask everyone to say, take this seriously, because it's getting very close to too late to do permanent damage to the whole of our planet.
I think that we also need voices like yours, very popular, and that are used to navigate and see the sea since many years.
Yeah. Well,
I think that you must be one of the influencer in with your voice, like other sailors, like Isabella Otiseo and other people that we met, that we know that you can see the changes because you really navigate in different time, and also we can see the difference, in fact, in a short time. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Much more questions later, and thank you for your time. Thank you, Robin.
My pleasure.